Hi everyone, Dion Johnson here, the Womanologist. Welcome to the broadcast. This is for you if you are a woman in senior leadership. So you're a CEO, a head of department, a director. You're a strategic lead in your organization and your industry. And my work is really all about supporting women in senior leadership to be more influential in their role, to overcome the challenges, to learn new ways to manage the very real pressure that goes along with senior leadership, and to be more influential, to make the kind of difference, lead the kind of change that it's on your heart to, that you know is necessary, that you know we need in your industry and in your organization and in your world ultimately, right? So today I woke up this morning with this message on my heart, really wanted to share with you, and I put it off a bit. So trying to work out how to best illustrate to you what I'm thinking. But let me tell you how this came about. First of all, if you've been around me any at all over the last year or so, you know that I've just finished writing a book. And one of the stories in the book is about a woman who I had a conversation with, who shares with me that she really cares about making a difference. She really cares about changing a particular thing in her organization, in her industry, and even in her community, but that she really doesn't see how she's got any room in her life to take on anything more than she's already doing. She's already a really busy mum. She's got a busy household. She's involved in her community, and she's got this really big job, really heavy work, heavy workload. She's really stretched when it comes to work. So even though she sees this issue that needs to be addressed, that she'd really like to get involved in being part of the change for, she doesn't see how she's got any more room for it, right? So that conversation, I share that story in the book, and then recently, much more recently, in fact, just last week, I was having a conversation with my commissioning editor over at Hay House, the publishers that are publishing my book. And we were talking about the content of the book. And in the book, there are 7 keys, 7 habits that I suggest that you commit to if you really want to take on growing and evolving as an influencer. So we were talking about this, and she said, we were talking about the word habit, because previously, before we settled on the word habit for these 7 things, I was calling them the 7 commitments. And she was explaining that she was having a conversation with somebody that she works with about the word commitment and about the word habit. And they were saying habit's a much stronger word, not little, because 7 habits is a thing in the literary world, but because the word commitment seemed to suggest that that it was onerous, like there was a kind of a heavy sound to the word commitment, that it's going to be sort of, people, they were saying in their conversation that people might be thinking, why would anybody want to take on any more commitment? I mean, we're committed out, right? Like, we've got so much going on. How can we take on any more commitment? So there was that thing again, like, how can we take on any more? And so then yesterday, I got an email from somebody who's watched my previous video, and she wrote me this really amazing email, and she said something that really struck me. She said that, she's writing a book, she's running a busy household, she's got a full life, she's really stretched, she's really spread thinly over all her commitments, and she said she's finding it quite hard to get it all done, to manage it all, let alone be this beacon of influence that we've been talking about in my work, in my book, in my messages, and so on. So there it was again, this another illustration of how we as women who influence, we as leaders at the top of our game, leading organizations and heading up teams, that's not happening in silos. That's happening in the context of these really busy lives, right? That's happening in the context of a whole load of plate spinning and a whole load of juggling. We're doing lots of stuff. And so um, the question of us being called to higher levels of influence and more change and being more in the world and bringing about the change that we want to see. Sometimes it's really reasonable to be asking ourselves the question, where the heck am I going to get room for all of this world-changing stuff, right? So I was thinking about this when I woke up this morning, and this is a picture that came to me. I don't know if you know, but I used to be a midwife. I still consider myself a midwife in terms of my capacity alongside women who are going through challenging, painful processes and bringing new things into the world, new ideas now instead of babies, new visions and new dreams. So for me, they're very similar, right? But that's what I saw today when I woke up. I saw this. I don't know if you can see this, but this is what we look like on the inside. This is our abdominal cavity. This is what goes on inside of our bellies. And I don't want you to see how packed it is. I'm going to point here, like this bit here is called the uterus, and that's the womb where if you get pregnant with an idea or you get pregnant with a baby, that it sits in our wombs here. And then that's it then. When it occupies our womb, even though it doesn't look like there's any room for anything more, when you get pregnant and the baby starts to grow, that's what happens. This is that uterus there. It's full up with baby now. And you can see that it completely dominates the abdominal cavity. It completely takes over the pelvis. And there's nothing been taken out. Everything that was in this picture is in this picture. But this womb, this pregnant womb, dominates. And that's the picture that came to me this morning, and it's really excited me. I want to share this message with you, that your assignment, whatever it is that you are being asked to conceive and carry in terms of what you want to see, the change that you want to see in the world, your professional womb will make room for itself. Whatever it is that you're carrying, your assignment will dominate. It will make room for itself. It will elegantly push things out of the way. Now, this isn't always easy and it isn't always comfortable. Any pregnant woman, any heavily pregnant woman will tell you that moving about can be a bit difficult sometimes, and even getting comfortable can be difficult sometimes. But the baby dominates and will take what it needs. The baby will dominate and take what it needs. And you will create hormones. You'll secrete hormones like this thing called progesterone that will help you, it will support your body to soften up and get out of the way, basically. So I wanted to pass that on. I mean, this is a really loaded message and there are loads of layers to this message. But I really wanted to pass that on to you today. That I know your life might look like your abdomen. It might look like there's no room for anything else. There's no room for you to conceive any other idea. There's no room for you to conceive any other thing in your life. But let me tell you something. You're wonderfully made. You are a masterful creation. And if you're destined to birth something new change into the world, new solutions, or a new way of doing things, then you will find room to carry it. It will embed itself in you. It will be able to grow, and you will be able to birth it safely. I really wanted to share that with you. Let me just check my notes to see if I've left anything out. Your assignment makes room for itself. That you don't have to try and figure out how to make room in your busy life and in your busy work life and in your busy schedule to manage whatever it is that you conceive. You don't have to work that out ahead of time. And much more importantly, maybe, is the fact that you don't have to stall getting pregnant. You don't have to push back and resist like the woman I was speaking to that I told you about earlier on, she was really feeling called to do something about this issue in her space, but she just felt like she couldn't see where it would fit. She just felt like everything was just so full up that there was just no room for it. And so she was actively telling herself, don't get involved in that, don't get involved in that, don't get involved in that. Well, I'm here to tell you, get involved in that. Push forward, be open, conceive the notion that you will bring forth into the world. You conceive the seed of the idea and let it grow and dominate and find its own way to settle within you until it's time for it to be birthed in the earth, in your industry, in your organization, in your community, or wherever it is that you're going to be influencing. Now, I really hope that you get this message. I really hope it's resonating. I'm encouraging you to be open to getting pregnant with the idea that you will use to influence your domain. Catch you later. See you next time.